Now to the West Coast. People in the city of Portland, Oregon today bracing for the worst.
No justice, no peace, no Nazis in our streets, no justice.
Groups of far-right extremists and counter-protesters facing off today, making people there afraid the two sides would clash violently, as they have in the past. Thankfully, that didn't happen. They shouted at each other and for the most part just made a lot of noise. Police did find and confiscate some weapons earlier and arrested at least 3 people. President Trump mentioned the protests in a tweet this morning, singling out only the far-left group that calls itself Antifa. This from the president. Major consideration is being given to naming Antifa an organization of terror. Portland is being watched very closely. Hopefully, the mayor will be able to properly do his job. And this bears mentioning. The United States does not have a domestic terrorism law, and no government agency designates domestic groups as being terrorist organizations. Let's get out to Portland and CNN's Sarah Seidner. Sarah, a sigh of relief there yet, or is there still potential for trouble?
There's still some issues. We're seeing the police going back and forth, but we are at Waterfront Park. This is where the initial rally was to be held by the Proud Boys who organized it. They are a far-right group. You can see there's not a lot of folks still left here. The left was on this side for the most part. The right ended up moving onto the other side, and the two did not really come together, and that was by design. Police, lots of officers out here trying to keep that interaction from happening, and so far so good. And we know that the Proud Boys, we had an interview and talked to them, and we know that they have now left. I want to let you listen to what one of the Proud Boys told us as we asked them why they keep coming back to Portland. This particular person is from Florida and says he's going to keep coming back, and listen to why. In a time when the government here and the people here that live here are extremely concerned about what's going on, to have the president just pick one group when the right has also been arrested, and not to mention it.
Weekend, would you be tweeting right now? Right now, you're not covering white supremacy, are you? You're covering this event, right? So when El Paso shooting happened, he tweeted about El Paso. Today, the event is Antifa. So
is it Antifa, though, that you guys were the ones that organized this event? So how is this Antifa?
Did anything go wrong with this event today?
Nothing went wrong with Antifa either. Nothing went wrong with you guys. It has so far been peaceful. Is that what you plan on doing coming here? I guess the question is why come here?
As long as Ted Wheeler keeps pandering to Antifa and not calling them out by name, we're going to keep coming out here. We're going to keep wasting his resources. He's going to call all the agencies that he's called. He's going to call the National Guard, the FBI, all of those people. And we're going to keep coming out here until Ted Wheeler does something.
So you heard there from one of the Proud Boys who says they're going to keep coming out here, even if it means, to waste resources, which does not make the people who live here in Portland and pay taxes happy to hear. Neither does it make the mayor happy. I'm here with a couple of folks who are on the other side of this, who are standing up against these far-right groups. Can you tell, are you guys members of the so-called Antifa, or the anti-fascists?
We are members of the Youth Liberation Front, which I guess is kind of a membership of the anti-fascists. Antifa doesn't really have a leader. It doesn't really have like a coalesced membership. It's more of like whoever kind of shows up to oppose fascism is an anti-fascist. I mean, yes.
It's a political ideology. It's not an organization. It's not a group of people. I mean, it's a group of people that organize on their own, but there's no hierarchy or anything. It's just
there's no one leader of the anti-fascist.
And there's not really like paramilitaries either. It's just some people and their friends who come out.
Yes.
Yeah. Let me ask you, because this is a question that comes up over and over and over again. Why wear masks? There's a lot of talk about masks. People think that when they see a masked person, they're out to do something either violent or unlawful. Why wear masks?
The main reason we wear masks is so that when the Proud Boys see us, they don't dox us or release our information and identify us, because we don't want people coming to our houses and interfering with our personal lives. So it's not because we want to, mix it up with the police or whatever. It's just so that we can protect ourselves.
Same for you, because a lot of people are criticizing, look, the police can't identify you, so therefore if there is some trouble, they can't see your face.
I'd like to add that I'm a minor, so if cops show up at if Proud Boys show up at my door, that would be particularly bad. I don't want them harassing me. I don't want to die. I don't want them killing me. there's one side that is specifically making threats, and the other side is willing to cover their faces just to like avoid those threats. I mean,
let me ask you about what the president has talked about. The president has basically said, look, we are looking at whether or not and leaning towards making Antifa a terrorist organization, a domestic terrorist group. Although there is no federal law that deems domestic terrorism as a crime, it just doesn't exist in the laws right now. But what do you think about that?
I don't think you can really do that because, like I said earlier, we're not like a political party or something. We're just political ideology. So when you call a political ideology terrorist, then that gives you leeway to just call anyone Antifa and arrest them. So I think it's very wrong that they're trying to do that, and I think there can be really shady justifications around that.
Yeah, I'd like to add that I think that it's a sign of our further descent into fascism that we're making anti-fascism illegal in some ways. Like, first they came for the socialists, you know. I don't think that making anti-fascism illegal, it just doesn't make any sense.
Let me ask you about a third thing, and something that the right often comments on, and they do this. They use memes, they use different things, and they come here to engage Antifa. They come here so that you guys will come out and so that violence will erupt. I mean, they've been pretty clear about that. And sometimes violence does erupt. Do you agree that Antifa is sometimes violent, as is some of the folks from the right?
Certainly there is violence in Antifa. Because our goal is to stop fascism by any means, but we're not being aggressive, I don't think. I think it's mostly defensive, like when a Proud Boy tries to come hit us, you know, we'll fight back. We're not here to like start fights, we're not here to rabble-rouse, we're just here to block the Proud Boys from, you know, unfurling their banners and spreading their ideas and then potentially attacking people on the street.
There are a lot of people nervous about when these groups come forward because they know it's going to mean there is the possibility of violence. Do you feel like you're playing into their hands by showing up? Why not just let them come and protest?
I think them coming and protesting is actually worse. They will get violence by any means necessary. If they get violence against Antifa, at least these are people who are prepared. I mean, if they just go around harassing random citizens, that's not cool. We are resisting the fascism. We're not allowing them to just take over our streets.
Both of you, thank you for talking to us. We've asked a lot of people to talk to us. Many of the folks from Antifa who were refused, you two were willing to talk to us, and I appreciate you guys taking the time to explain your side of things here in Portland. Are you both from Portland? Yes, both from Portland. I appreciate your time. We thank you so much.
Thank you.
So you're hearing from two members of Antifa. They said they're, you know, in a different group, but it is linked to Antifa. And their thoughts on what the president has said and their thoughts on what the right has said. It is an interesting mix of folks here right now. There's still groups out. There's still police, a large police presence and helicopters overhead. But so far, there hasn't been any major violence. 4 people arrested, a small number considering the number of people who were out here, which were hundreds of people, and 1 person injured. Anna?
Okay, thank you for keeping us posted on that, Sarah Seidner. A new report.